بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We welcome you today, Saturday, May 9th, at this halaqa. We are continuing our early Muslim scholars, and as we said before, we're starting by the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. And so let me move the camera. Okay. I created PowerPoint presentation, but I tried to share it while I'm talking here on YouTube, and it didn't work. So I'm just gonna present for myself, I'll be the only person who's gonna see it. And so today we're covering the life of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. And Abdullah ibn Abbas was a very young child at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And why we're covering his life? Because he's one of the seven Sahaba of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that reported more than 1,000 hadith. And we mentioned before, when we covered other Sahaba who reported more than 1,000 hadith, we covered some of them, and we mentioned those Sahaba were Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, Aisha al-Mu'mineen, mother of the believers radiallahu anha, Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, and he is our topic today. And then we have Jabir ibn Abdullah and Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhum ajma'in. And the purpose of this is to see and appreciate how these people gain all this knowledge, and how did they transmit this knowledge to all of us, so we can all learn the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abdullah ibn Abbas, he was a very knowledgeable person, and he's a person who taught lots of people after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was known as Habrul Ummah wa Turjuman al-Quran, the scholar of the Ummah and the interpreter of the Quran. And he was very famous of the knowledge of the tafsir of the Quran. And he narrated in the books of hadith more than 1,600 hadith, 1,668 to be precise. So how did he gain this knowledge, and how did he spread this knowledge to others? This is what we're focusing on in covering his life. So Abdullah ibn Abbas, first thing to know that Abdullah ibn Abbas, his father was Al-Abbas, Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib. Abbas is the son of Abdul Muttalib. And Abdul Muttalib is the grandfather of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his name is Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, the son of Abdul Muttalib. Okay, and his uncles are his Muslim uncles are Abbas and Hamza. And we know that Hamza died in the battle of Uhud, and Abbas stayed in Mecca, even though he supported the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he did not embrace Islam till way later on, probably at the time of Fath Mecca. They said before Fath Mecca, before the Muslim came back and conquered Mecca. Before that, he left to Medina, and he met the army, and he came with them. So that was his basically his life. The other uncles of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we know that Abu Talib, who also died as non-Muslim, and his son was Ali ibn Abi Talib, the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the other famous cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Abdullah ibn Abbas. So Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ali, and Abdullah, they were all cousins. However, Abdullah was very, very young. Abdullah was born only 3 years before the hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Al-Medina. And he was born when the Muslims were under embargo by Quraysh in a place called Sha'b Bani Hashim. It's a small valley, and they put all the Banu Hashim there, the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Muslims with him, and they embargoed them in there. So Abdullah ibn Abbas was born there, and then his dad, Abbas, took him and brought him to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they said, "Hannakahu Rasulullah." Hannakahu means did some. They call it tahnik. Tahnik. The word hanak in Arabic means the jaw. Your jaw is your hanak. But what they mean, hannakahu, is they have this tradition that they chew some kind of date, and then it'll become like liquid, and they put it inside the mouth of the newborn for the barakah. And since they were under embargo, there were no dates. So the Prophet ﷺ only used his saliva and put it on the mouth of Abdullah ibn Abbas. And so Abdullah stayed in Mecca, until when the Muslims went to Mecca. So he, after that, we know that the Prophet ﷺ lived 10 years after the Hijrah. So when the Prophet when Ibn Abbas, when the Prophet ﷺ died, Ibn Abbas was only 13 years old. And that's, you wonder, how come a 13 years old become a alim like this? And we'll see why. First, because of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he made a dua for Abdullah ibn Abbas. And it was narrated that one day the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came out of the bathroom, and he found a water ready for, that at that time there were no running water, so you have to prepare water and put it in something. So he prepared the water for the wudu of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, "Who did this?" And Abdullah ibn Abbas said, "Ana, that's me." And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua for him. اللهم علمه التأويل اللهم علمه تأويل القرآن وفقهه في الدين. Oh Allah, grant him the knowledge of the interpretation of the Quran and give him deep understanding of religion. Fiqh is the literal meaning of fiqh is the deep understanding of something. So وفقهه في الدين means give him the deep understanding of the religion. And Abdullah ibn Abbas also reported that the Prophet ﷺ made dua for me 2 times that Allah give me wisdom. So it seems that the Prophet ﷺ made dua for Abdullah ibn Abbas several times. Also, Abdullah ibn Abbas was close to the Prophet ﷺ. Why? Because his mother, al-Fadl, is the sister of Maymuna. And Maymuna was the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. So he had this easy access where he can go to visit his aunt and meet the Prophet ﷺ. And it was reported that one day Abdullah reported that his dad, he said, my dad, Abbas, told me to go and sleep over in the house of the Prophet ﷺ. So he said, I went to the masjid and I prayed Isha with the Prophet ﷺ, and I stayed in the masjid till everyone left. And then the Prophet ﷺ stood up to go to his house. And then while he was passing, he saw Abdullah, and so it was dark. And at that time, there's no lights in the masjid. So the Prophet ﷺ asked, "Man hada? Who is this?" Then Abdullah said, "That's me, Abdullah." And then the Prophet ﷺ, "Why are you here?" He said, "My dad told me I should go and sleep over in your house today." Then the Prophet ﷺ, told him, "Okay, then follow me." And then he went to the house and said, "Okay, make some place for Abdullah to sleep." And then he slept in the same room with his aunt and with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said that my dad told me, "Do not sleep till you see the Prophet sallallahu. How does the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam pray at night? And you come and tell me." And imagine, so at that time, this kid were probably 10, 11, 12, maximum 13 years old. In other narration that he reported similar story when he was 10 years old. But at that age, he stood up and at night, did not sleep, watching the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then he said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam slept. Then he woke up. The minute he woke up, he read the verses from Surah Al-Imran, the last ayat in Surah Al-Imran, إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا. So that's last page of Al-Imran. He read till the end of the surah. And then the Prophet ﷺ brushed his teeth and he did wudu. And then he went to prayer. He did 2 rak'ahs. And then after that, he prayed witr. And then Ibn Abbas said, I heard him saying this dua, Allahumma ja'al li fi basari nura, waj'al li, Allahumma ja'al li fi, Allahumma ja'al li fi basari nura, waj'al fi sam'i nura, waj'al fi lisani nura, واجعل في قلبي نورا واجعل عن يميني نورا واجعل عن شمالي نورا واجعل أمامي نورا واجعل من خلفي نورا واجعل من فوقي نورا واجعل من أسفل مني نورا واجعل لي يوم لقائك نورا وأعظم لي نورا. So the Prophet he asked Allah to make a nur, a light for him on his right, on his left, above him, underneath him, in front of him, in the back of him, and to make a light for him in the day of judgment. So this is something that Abdullah ibn Abbas reported directly from the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in another occasion, Abdullah ibn Abbas said, I prayed behind the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, the Prophet he said, in this time he specified his age. He said, I was 10 years old and I saw the Prophet ﷺ stood to pray at night. And imagine, at 10 years old, he wanted to pray with the Prophet ﷺ. And he said, I stood to the left of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, then the Prophet ﷺ grabbed him and pulled him to his right, made him stand to his right. And that's why when you pray Jama'ah, 2 persons, so the Imam will be praying, and the Ma'mum or the Muqtadi will be on his right side, not on his left side. And so also this is something that Abdullah ibn Abbas reported. And in another narration, he reported that one time he prayed, and the Prophet ﷺ pulled him to pray next to him. Then he went a little bit back behind the Prophet ﷺ, and he was a young child. And the Prophet ﷺ asked him, why did you do that? He said, O Prophet of Allah, you are the Prophet of Allah, and I don't know, I cannot stay next to you. You are way better than me. I have to stay behind you. Another hadith, interesting hadith, and a very famous hadith that shows you also how close Abdullah ibn Abbas, even though he was a child, he used to go with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to places. And so we have the famous hadith reported by Ibn Abbas, and it's in the Sahih in the 40 hadith of Imam An-Nawawi. And يعني Ibn Abbas, when he reported the hadith of he was riding behind the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in an animal, and he didn't specify the animal, but so he was young and light, and he was riding behind the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the long hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, "Ya ghulam, احفظ الله يحفظك، احفظ الله تجده تجاهك، إذا سألت فاسأل الله، وإذا استعنت فاستعن بالله." Oh, young boy, ya ghulam, young boy, guard Allah means you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will guard you. And إذا سألت فاسأل الله, if you ask only Allah. And know that if the whole ummah gathered to harm you, they will not be able to harm you unless Allah wills so. And if the whole ummah gathered to benefit you, they will not be able to benefit you unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow them. So this is during the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now the question is, after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we said he reported more than 1600 hadith, and he was only 13 years old. So at that time, yes, you learn a lot and you report hadith. But the bulk of the hadith that Abdullah ibn Abbas reported, it wasn't things that he heard directly from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are things that he learned from other Sahaba, but he was 13 years old. And he said, after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I used to have a friend from the Ansar, so probably some person at his age. So he said, I told my friend, let's go today and ask the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because now there are lots of them. And he said, my friend told me, oh, Ibn Abbas, what do you think? People will come and ask you? There are hundreds of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam where people can go and ask them for knowledge. Why want to do that? He said, then I didn't listen to him, and I continued my mission. So, and that's something good. If you have something good to do, and someone is discouraging you, don't listen to them. Continue what you're doing, the good thing that you're doing. And he said that I used to go and ask them about the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and ask them to teach me. And he said sometimes I'll go to a person. Well, I hear that he heard and he has some hadith, and he said I go to him at the time of the afternoon. That person will be maybe taking a nap. Said I'll sleep outside of his door steps, and I'll wait on that person to come out till sometime the dust and the wind come on me, and that person will come out and see me. Said, "Oh, Ibn Amma Rasulillah, you, the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What are you doing here?" Said, "I came to ask you about the ilm, the knowledge." He said, "Why wouldn't you send someone to me? I would come to you." He said, "No, I will come to you because I want to learn." And then he said, "I start doing like this and like this till I learned, and then I started teaching, and then my old friend came and he said, 'Oh, yeah, Abdullah ibn Abbas, you were much wiser than me.'" So this is how he learned. He used to go. He used to ask questions, and he had this eagerness to go and learn from the other Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. And And just to show you his status of knowledge, Umar ibn Khattab used to like him very much. And Umar used to have this gathering sometimes where he has like shura to consult with other Sahaba, and he brings the senior Sahaba, the people who attended Badr. And sometimes he bring Abdullah ibn Abbas with them. Then one day, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, he told him, "Why are you bringing Ibn Abbas? Our kids, our children are yani, at his age." And then he told him, uh, "You know that he's yani, you know him, meaning you know his knowledge." Then he said, one day, Umar called me, Ibn Abbas saying, and he said he went there, he found senior Sahaba there, and he asked them, what do you say about the tafsir, the interpretation of the ayat in Surah Al-Nasr, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ? Then they all say the meaning is clear. It's just as the ayah says, when the victory of Allah comes, and then you should make istighfar, you should share subhanallah, and Allah will forgive you. And when the victory of Allah comes, and you see people coming in fault to the deen of Allah, then you should make istighfar. And this ayah was revealed after the Muslims entered Mecca, and after that, many of the Arabs started to accept Islam. So they said that's the meaning. And then Umar turned to Abdullah ibn Abbas, said, Abdullah ibn Abbas, what do you what do you say about this? What do you say about this verse? Then Abdullah said, uh, yes, what they said is true, but it's also a message to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that his death is near, meaning that the message is completed and people are entering Islam like this, and then you should make istighfar. And then Umar said, ما أعلم منها إلا ما تعلم. I have known no more than what you have said. And so Umar agreed with him, and just to show the Sahaba the knowledge of Abdullah ibn Abbas. And it was Shu'bi, one of the tabi'een, the followers. Tabi'een, Sahaba are the people who met the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Tabi'een are the one who met the Sahaba, but they haven't seen the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Shabi learned from Ibn Abbas, and he said Ibn Abbas one day was asked, "How did you gain all this knowledge?" And Ibn Abbas said, "بلسان سؤول وقلب عقول." He said, how did you attain all this knowledge? He said, by a tongue that asks questions, and by heart that listen and understand. And Umar used to use the same phrase about Ibn Abbas when when Umar sees Ibn Abbas coming, he would say, جاء فتى الكهول باللسان السؤول والقلب العقول. This is the young man of the old people, meaning that a young man who has the mentality or the wisdom of the old people, who has a tongue that asks questions and a heart that listens and understands. That's how he gained this knowledge. His knowledge is by being interested in it and being spending some time and willing to listen and willing to understand, and also asking questions. And also for us and for people who teach, when someone asks question, that's a good sign that that person wanted to learn. And it says that Abdullah ibn Abbas and his students became so many that they would gather at his house, and they fill the house and fill the streets next to the house. And then they told him, these people are this is too much. So he started divided his day. So he said, okay, let the people who want to learn about the tafsir of the Quran come, and then they come. Then they leave. Then the people who want to learn about fiqh, they will come, and then they leave. And people who want to learn about the rules of the inheritance, they come and leave. And then also the people who want to learn Arabic. And Ibn Abbas was also very good in the Arabic language. He traveled to Iraq. He came back to Mecca, and then he traveled to Taif to avoid all the fitna that happened between the Muslims and Abdullah ibn Zubayr, and at that time Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, and the fightings. Also, Abdullah ibn Abbas was in the Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu camp uh, uh, in Iraq. And as we know, the a group uh, from Ali ibn Abi Talib camp, they they moved away from him. They called Khawarij, Kharaju. They rebelled against him. And there's this famous story also to show you the knowledge of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. Ibn Abbas asked Ali, he said, let me go and discuss with them. So he allowed him. So he went to them at Dhuhr time. And they said, Marhaban ibn Ammi Rasulillah, welcome to the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Why are you here? He said, what do you have against Ali? So and he described them. He said, these people, they pray, their forehead, there's a mark of sujood on it. Their hands are very tough just from yani, making sujood all the time. They read the Quran all the time. But they went astray because of one thing. They thought of themselves as have the better uh, understanding of the religion than the Sahaba and Ali radiallahu anhu. And so they didn't pay much attention to the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so Ibn Abbas had discussion with them and answered their questions and refuted their arguments. I don't want to go into the details, but at the end of the discussion, 20,000 of the army came back with him. And that shows you the importance of dialogue and discussion, because some people might raise arm and go, you can fight them, yes, but it's better that you discuss with them, because they're fighting because of something misunderstanding in their head. So you have to take that misunderstanding out of their head, and instead of going and choose the fighting first. So this is what Ibn Abbas did. And that's why Ibn Abbas became very famous, teaching people. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant, to be pleased with him and all the Sahaba and all the ulama that brought this knowledge to us. And as I said, he died in Taif, and the year 68 of Al-Hijrah. And that was the life of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. And inshallah, next time, next Saturday, inshallah, we'll cover another Sahabi from those seven. And I want to remind you, today, inshallah, we're having Quba Center fundraising at 9 o'clock. It will be on our Facebook and on our Zoom. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.